Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs, and we're going to do a craft with me today, and we're going to work on some more tags for our romantic journal that we're making. We're going to make these two tags today, and after that we're going to probably work in the journal a little bit and do some page decorating, and then that'll probably be the last bit of decorating we do on that, because I've got some Valentine's journals we're going to start working on. Anyway, let's get going. We're going to be doing decoupaging of the napkins and embossing. So we're going to try and do two just like this today. If it runs too long, we may just get one done, but we'll see what happens. Okay, first of all, what you're going to need is tags. I got these off of Amazon, and I think I got about 100. It was relatively cheap. You do not have to have these. You could just take a manila folder and make some. This is a 4 by 8, and I like using these big tags. I usually put a couple of them in each journal because I'll take them and then I'll clip them to a page. So and it'll take pretty much take up a whole page. So anyway, we're going to start with this, and we're going to do this one first, okay? So what I use to do this is napkins, and let me get that out. And of course, you know, whatever napkin you can find. I got these at Tuesday Morning, and if your napkins will go a long way. I mean, you'll probably never ever use them all. So if you know other people that are wanting to do junk journaling, you might want to go in and split it or whatever. But anyway, that's what I use. So we're going to use this design, and the important thing on this to realize is that you wouldn't want to put, for instance, I mean, if you were making a small tag, you could cut that out right there and just use it the way it is. But we're going to actually just use pieces of this and separate it to make our tag, because we have a rather larger tag, and if we were to put this whole thing down, then you would have this upside down on top. So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to use that napkin. First, we're going to cut our tag down. Let's see, and this is just approximate. I cut off about 1 inch. Make that straight. I could use my cutter, but I'm not gonna. Okay. Anyway, that was extremely crooked. Hold on, let me just get that out. Just should have done this to begin with. There we go. That's why I keep it close to my desk, because I cannot cut anything straight. Anyway, so we'll have that, and I'm not going to paint or do anything on this first, but I'm going to use a piece of paper, because on this tag, what I've done, I have taken a piece of scrapbook paper, and I was looking for a design that would work with this napkin. Okay, so I thought the colors in this went really well with the napkin. It had this pink rose, and even though this rose is a lot bigger in front, if you notice, there's other flowers in here that are bigger, and then you have the Eiffel Tower kind of in the background. So I thought that would really work, and I like the color. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to place it on my tag, and I'm going to glue it down with the glue stick, or you can put any other kind of glue. I like a glue stick because it doesn't do this on the back of that so it doesn't get all over. It doesn't ripple. And put it on there generously. I just started using these Scotch brand glue sticks, and I like them so much that I bought like a 24 pack off of Amazon, because I've used a lot of other glue sticks, some that are quite a bit more expensive, and honestly I really love these. I think, I mean, it's just, they really grab really well, and they, you know how some of the others just dry super quick, and this is great. I think they're really good. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents if you're going to buy some. Okay, let's get the glue stick all over. And we're going to be putting Mod Podge over this. So anyway, so then I'm going to place this, very sticky. I'm going to place this on the corner, because I'm going to, let me see if I really want to get that on there to where there's no tag left. Let's see, it's super tacky. It's really great. Okay, I think that'll work. Okay. Get it on there good. Press it down. Make sure the corners are on there good. And you can always glue the corners or something later, you know, if you end up with, you know, some ends coming up or something. And then I trim it down. Now I should be able to do this straight because I'm following the tag, but you know, I'm not very good at this sometimes. All right, so we're gonna do that. There we go. So we don't need that. Okay, so now we've got this, and this could be a beautiful tag just by itself. I mean, you could just put the hole through there and call it a day, but we're gonna jazz it up a little bit. Now I am gonna separate my napkin first, so let's put that aside for a second. We're gonna separate our napkin. Your napkin is usually gonna have 2, most of the time 3 layers, and the easiest way to do that is to take a piece of tape, put it kind of in the middle of your napkin, press it down, and then kind of pull it up. And what that does at that point is it takes one of the layers off, like this, and then you should be able to pull it apart really quickly. Now that's just one layer, so you're going to pull another layer off. Let's see if I can get that off better. There we go. And you should be able to do that without ripping your napkin, you know, on the piece that you want. So now you take this last one off. All right. And then you are left with a thin layer of napkin. And the reason you want the thin layer is you want it to be kind of see-through when you put your glue on it. Now, like I said before, you can't use this, you know, well, you could if you had a small tag, you could just have that piece there, but what we're going to do is we're going to take pieces of this and kind of move them around the napkin. We're going to put them in different places. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to tear little pieces. And the easiest way to do that is if you have some sort of wet, you know, I don't know what you call this, a water brush or whatever. This came with the tear rulers that I got, the We Are Memories tear rulers. And this came with 2 other tear rulers and then this. And I really hardly ever use it with that. I usually use it for napkins. If you don't want to do that, you can take just a small brush. I don't know if I have one real handy. Just like a little small paintbrush, and dip it in water, and it'll do exactly the same thing. So anyway, what we're going to do, hopefully I can get this water started. There we go. Okay, I kind of want, I'm going to take my tag and kind of look at it and think I can probably get this part right here through the Eiffel Tower and put it through here, and maybe part of this, but then see, that'll cover part of that. I think I'm going to try and do this. Let's see, we're going to go here and go around here. And you see how this allows you to, and I think I'm going to take part of this flower here, and we'll see how that looks. It allows you to kind of draw around what you want to take, and then it should tear. And the thing is about this is what you're trying to do is not have straight edges, because the straight edges will kind of give it away when you put it down. So we're going to do that. We're going to go all the way around. And I'm trying to get just the top of this rose right here. And I'm trying to leave the blue underneath the Paris, because you'll see why in a second. Okay. All right. Now that I've done that, I'm going to see where I want to place this on my napkin. I may want to put it over here. I may want to just put it way over here. I may want to overlap it with the rose. I think I'm going to put it just right a little bit in front, and it'll have a little of this other rose kind of going over there. I think that will be cool, because this is going to kind of layer it a little bit. Don't worry about that little piece. It'll be all right. Okay, so I'm going to put that there, I think. Now, I'm not going to glue anything down yet because I'm trying to position things. And I kind of want the Paris to be over here or maybe in the middle. But if I put it in the middle, I'm going to have a hole there, so maybe I'll put it over there. So that what I'm going to do is I can either take this Paris or I can take one of the others, but I think I'm going to go ahead and try and use that one. I think it might work. Let's try that. So, but you know what? I think I'm going to use a different one maybe, because I think I want these flowers to kind of hang down. Otherwise, we're going to have an empty space. So I'm probably going to go around this. And the thing is that you get a big stack of napkins. So if you mess this up, you can always just, you know, try another one. I mean, it'll work. So we're going to try it. We don't want that Eiffel Tower because we've already got one. And I'm going to wind up tearing this on the bottom because, again, you're going to try not to have a straight edge. So let's do that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now see that straight edge? You want to kind of make sure that you don't end up with a straight edge, because it kind of, then you can kind of tell where you cut it if you do that. All right, if you do that, there's a way to fix it, but where's the top of that? Okay. So we're going to do that. And go all the way around. Let's see, where did we stop on that? I think we stopped right above here. Okay. Trying very hard not to cut the Paris part. Okay, there we go. I think we did pretty good. All right, so now I'm going to take my tag out again, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to do that. Probably going to place the Paris up there, and see, that's where it's got, otherwise there'd be like nothing down there. And of course we can overlap things, but now I have a blank spot over here. So I'm going to look at my napkin again. Let's see what I can put over there. I don't have any of this really, so I think what I'm going to do on that is I'm going to take some of that out. Let's see, I'm going to take the whole thing and then I'll figure out what I want. out of that. Now you can certainly try and tear this without the water, but it just works a lot easier if you have the water. If you can see, my outline just comes right out. It rips very easily. It's not a straight edge. I never did that before, and then I saw somebody do it, and I tried it, and I went, wow, okay, that's great. All right. I think okay, so we got that piece, and I think I'm going to try and put that, okay, if we put the Paris over here, maybe about there, I'm going to put that down there, and then maybe we'll put this over here, and it's okay if it overlaps a little, it'll be fine, and put it right, maybe right over here. Put it like that. I don't want it blocking the Paris, but I probably want to put it about there. And then maybe put my Paris over here. Here, maybe I'm going to tear off a little bit of this. So that will go here like that. I'll put that like that. That'll go like that. Okay, and I know it looks kind of funny because there's not anything in the middle, but we're going to fill all that in. And then now I've decided I'm going to take a little bit of this off. I think I'm going to just kind of make sure that that goes on there like that. Okay, so that is kind of how I'm going to put it on there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head and take my decoupage, get my little tray cup, and put that in. My Mod Podge, and like you can just use, I'm running low on this one, but we'll see. I think I'll have enough for this. We shall see. Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of water in there, just a little bit. Okay, because usually it's always a little bit too thick, I think, but you know. Now I have my favorite brush that I like to use when I do this. It's a little bit different than when you are doing collage, because the napkin is very, very soft and it can tear real easy, as opposed to your other papers, you know, when you're using your scrapbook paper or you're using your pages and things like that. It's a lot like tissue paper, and it can tear easy. So I have this very soft brush, and what I do is I'll just take where I think I want this. I'll put some of this down. Oh, I forgot. Let me get this real quick. I'm going to put this down so we don't get a big mess. Let me move that real quick underneath here. Hopefully there won't be as much glare as there is with my glass mat, but we'll do that. So I'll just take some and I'll put it down, and then I'll put my piece where I think I want it. Put that up a little bit higher, maybe. Yeah, I gotta remember where my hole's gonna be, because I don't want it to be where there's gonna be a hole. So I think that's about right there. Maybe over just a tiny bit. You have a little bit of time with this when you do it. Okay, and so then I take that, put it down. And don't worry about it being down 100%. It'll go down in a minute. I'm probably going to take my other big piece. You probably want to put your big pieces down first. That's a little wrinkled more than I want. Here, let me get that up a little bit. After it gets wet, it's kind of hard to move around. Okay, That one is not. Okay, there we go. Even though that's wrinkled right there, that'll be fine in a minute. You'll see. Okay, so let's put our glue down where we're going to put it. Okay, I'm going to take that little piece off that's torn. There we go. Yeah. See, that's what, when you work with it too much, that's what'll happen. So you want to kind of not handle it too much if you can help it. Okay, so this is where our Eiffel Tower is going to go. And it doesn't matter if it's exactly, you know what, I think I want this over just a little bit more because I don't want it to, yeah. So I'm going to have to go like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's better right there. All right. So I think this is too straight right here. I'm going to want to tear that a little bit. Okay. There we go. I don't like that green on the end of that flower there showing up in our middle of our flower. So I think what I'm going to do is I am just going to cut that off right there and just have our flower. Yeah, okay, that works. The thing is, we can always add more stuff to it later. We're just trying to get our main focal points down. The thing about using this napkin rather than just the scrapbook paper is there's a lot you can't necessarily see that it adds, but it's really kind of a texture thing. It adds a, when it gets to, it'll feel like it's a canvas that's been painted. I mean, that's what I think it looks like to me. All right, so we got that down. So we just have one more piece. And I think this piece, we're just going to kind of put it kind of up here, kind of dangling down. Maybe, and kind of off the edge. So we're going to, because we just don't want a big blank spot right there. So yeah, I think that'll be good. All right, and I don't want this to overlap too much, so I'm going to tear some of that off. There we go. Maybe I'll go up just a tiny bit. There we go. All right, I think that's good. Oops, I need more glue down there. It's stuck to my finger. That's another thing. You want to get your fingers not so sticky so you can get this to work. And it's okay that it's dangling off on the edges because we're going to cut that later. Okay, that's kind of how we want it to be. So we're going to go ahead and go over it. And the thing is, when you go over this, you want to go fairly softly, but you want to saturate it at the same time. And that's why when you do it, the tissue paper or napkin, you want to have a softer brush because otherwise it will tear it. If it tears, it's not the end of the world. You can fix it. And I go over the whole thing. Okay, and then what I do, let me do that right here, is you can take pieces of your napkin and fill in spots if you want to, the white napkin, to give it the same texture as you had, like right here. We could put that down. And what that does is it, and you don't want to overlap it too much because you'll be able to see that later, but you want to kind of, what it does is when you're done, it's going to have like a canvas texture to it. Now I'm going to leave, I think, a big portion of that. Let me see how much I want to do of that. I'm trying my best not to have big, let me see if I want to do too much of that. I leave spots open where I don't put any tissue down because my goal is to make this look like an old painting. That's pieces of the well, you don't want to see how I went over our part of our design there. You kind of want to not do that. You want to just put this in the blank spots. Okay, maybe I'll put one more piece right there. So we're filling in some of the spots, but we're trying not to overlap the stuff we've already done. And you want little pieces open. I mean, not you know, huge or anything, but you want pieces, because what it'll do is it'll make it look like it's a worn painting, and that's the goal. That's kind of what we're going for here. Let's see those. Here, I need a bigger piece. You don't want the straight edges because it won't look right when you're done. You want to do the kind of the jagged. There we go. Let's put that on there. I don't know if I'm going to leave that on the pink. I might just leave it off of the pink. And see what that does when you're putting this down. You can still see the design, but it will end up looking like an old canvas when we get all done. All right. And you want to go over it one more time. Really good. Make sure you get everything down. And you'll see like up here how it's chipped a little bit. That's a good thing. Because when we're done, let's see, here's some pieces. Now you don't want globs like that, but you can just scrape that off. And that's actually a good thing. There's a glob right there. I'm going to scrape part of it off. Try not to pull off your napkin design if you can help it. Okay. I don't know if I like that there. Let me see. I think there's too much of this white showing. It's covering our Eiffel Tower too much. Let's see if I can get that off without tearing it underneath. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully I can get it off. All right. Yeah. There's oop, 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 oop. There we go. I'm just going to leave that gap right there. It's covering too much of our design. We don't want it to, the extra pieces we put on there to take away from what we already put on there. And like I said, the gaps are a good thing. Take a little bit of that off. Okay. Make sure the edges are on good. Make sure all the edges are on good. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to take this and we are going to hit it with our heat gun. And it should dry fairly quickly because it's not nearly as saturated as when you did the collage. The decoupage is really just on a flat surface and it's not a lot of layers. It's just the tissue, so it should dry fairly quickly. So if you want to fast forward through this part, you can, but don't get too close to it because it'll bubble. And you don't want that, but if it does bubble a little bit, that's okay. It won't. It'll just kind of add to the character, but and like I said, don't worry about the ends because we'll deal with that later. And the wrinkles, I want the wrinkles and I want the imperfection. Because that's what gives it the character. It's going to look like a worn canvas. That's what you're to me, that's the difference between having just a tag with the pretty paper versus doing these steps, because it has the texture, and that's usually what I'm going for. I'm always looking to add texture any way I can. Oop, we got this little ends coming up over here. That's okay, I think I'm going to leave that. It's alright, I'll be fine. We'll deal with that later. There's a few pieces in here that are doubled up that are not drying yet, but they will be pretty quickly. You want to make sure that when you're using your heat gun that you move it around, or you can actually burn your paper. But I've actually burned my paper before, and I thought it made a little kind of a brown mark, and I actually thought that looked pretty good. So, but it's probably not a good idea, because it could actually catch on fire. I've never had that happen, but. And then I had somebody ask me once if you could use your blow dryer if you don't have a heat gun. A blow dryer would probably help dry this, but it wouldn't work. The heat isn't as intense, and it's not as hot. You definitely can't do like your embossing with it, because a blow dryer would just blow the embossing powder everywhere, so you wouldn't want to do that. And the heat gun it works a lot better, and they're relatively inexpensive. And I have this hooked up at my desk, and I'm very impatient crafter, so this is a necessity. You don't have to use a heat gun. You can just let it dry naturally. So, and that's something. But you would have to have a heat gun to do the next step that we're going to do. So, you know, that's just, if you're going to be doing this very often, you probably, that's a tool you'd want to invest in. You can get one for under $20 in a craft store. And then if you were to have a 40% off coupon or 50%, you know, it's relatively inexpensive. Okay, I think we're pretty much dry enough to do this next step. Okay, so make sure that's dry right there a little bit more. You need it dry enough that you can you can do the next step without taking too much off, because we're going to take some of this off. Just go over the back a little bit. That helps sometimes. Dry it. You don't want it sticky to the touch. That's the goal. Okay, that's good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut off the edges as close as we can get them. Doesn't have to be perfect, because we're going to do something with that. Okay. And also too, when you quit using the heat gun, it'll be just a little bit, feel like it's sticky, but that's because the heat gun is heated this up, and it's hot, and as soon as it cools down, you won't feel that anymore, and it should be dry. If you do feel it sticky after that, then that means it's not dry all the way, and you want to probably heat it a little bit, or heat it up a little bit more. Okay, so this next step, what we're going to do is we are going to take our, let's see, where did it go? My handy dandy. Hold on just a second. Let's see. We're going to take our nail file, and we're going to go over the edges. And what that will do is that will take off our rest of our napkin and make it nice and smooth. Okay, should do that. And then I take this and I go straight down on here. And what this will do is it'll actually take some of the really high ridges off of there, and it'll actually take some of it off. And what that'll do is it'll kind of get rid of a lot of the raised area from one to another, and it'll make it look even more like a worn canvas. It has a really cool effect, I think. And to me, you could stop after that, and I don't know if you can see this in the camera. Get all that off of there. You can see how it has that pattern, kind of like you would see on an old canvas or something. And there's the pieces. But what this does is it kind of takes even some more off. And then I always go around the edges a little bit, because that's where it would naturally wear, and do that. Plus it takes off any of the pieces. And if you have a sanding block, you could use that too, but I like this too because it kind of allows you to kind of get in there and get it real good. Now I take this further, and this is all to taste, but I will take, I can't find my, oh, here it is, my distressing tool or your scissors, and I'll just take it and I distress it, because my goal is to make this look old and tattered and grungy, and see how that's kind of distressing it there. I mean, you can certainly use your scissors to do that, but see, that'll do the same thing, really. All right. So, all that dust off of there. All right, so that's what we've got, and I would take it at this point and I would distress it. Okay, take all the ends. You want to distress that. Ink it up, and I always go in quite a bit more than I would just on a regular piece of paper. And you know, you really have to do it good on the edges because it's not even, and that hides all that. Okay, and you want to keep all that roughness there because it, like I said, you're wanting it to look like a old piece of canvas. I'm going to do the back. See? And then this is where I take this tool and I'll go like this, distress it more. And what's really cool about that is the leftover little ridges and stuff that you have, it'll just kind of get in those cracks, and do the back so that this will look kind of old and tattered. And okay, so that in itself, I mean that would be pretty. You could just, you know, punch a hole in it and put your ribbon through it and call it a day. I mean, that could be, take it on the back. Right? You could just say, okay, that's it. That's my tag. But we're going to take it one step further because, like I said, I'm all about the layers, okay? So what we're going to do next is we're going to emboss on this. So let me get the stuff out here real quick. stuff everywhere. Okay, I have a stamp, and it's an Eiffel Tower stamp, and I realize that not everybody's going to have the same stuff, but I look through your stash, and perhaps you have something similar, or even if you don't, you can put a bird on there. You can put any kind of focal point. You just want a focal point. Now, it just so happens that this Eiffel Tower stamp is about the same size as what's in the picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this look like a shadow. And I'm going to go right next to it. So we're going to go about right here. And I'm going to stamp right there, okay? But what I'm going to stamp with is I'm going to use Versamark. I'm going to ink up my stamp nice and good. All right, and then I'm going to go bring this toward me so I can see it better. I think, let me see, I'm going to go just a little above it because that's how I shadow, but I'm trying to line it up. And it's not an exact, you know, duplicate, but it'll look enough like it that I think it'll work. Maybe just a little bit over here. Okay, I think that's good right there. All right, and then I press down. And I'll leave it on there for about 10 seconds. Especially too because you've got the Mod Podge on there. It's going to be kind of a resist. So you want to be able to make sure it's on there good. Okay. On top of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around this, and I have a pen that basically it's a Versamark pen, and it's what it's going to do is it's going to allow the adhesive to go on the edges just enough, and I don't want it a straight line. I want it kind of and I'm dipping it into my Versamark too because it makes it a little bit juicier, and go around the edges. I don't want a straight line. I want it kind of messed up because this has been around for a long time and some of this has come off. So that's the kind of look we're going for. I'm just kind of going around the edges. And you've got a little bit of time to work with your Versamark because it won't dry super quick. That's how it's made. It's not like ink from a stamp. Okay, so then here we go. Oh, what did I just lose? I lost something. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this is just silver embossing powder, and this is the fine. You want to use the fine when you're using stamps that have detail because it's gonna you know, pick up that detail. So we're going to use thick on the next project that we do, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, and then do that. I usually almost always end up dumping the whole thing out and then putting it back in, but you're not wasting it because, so I shake it off, and we've got a lot of extra here all around, so we're going to have to get some of that off. And I just take a fine little paintbrush. I don't know why we have so much on this, but we do. That's okay. We're going to be all right. Let me do that. I don't want to blow it over there. Okay. Must have had some of our glue just a little wet still from the Mod Podge. Okay. had a lot more stick on there than it probably should have, but that's a way to get it out of the little stuff. See, now you're seeing more detail in there. Now, if there's little spots and stuff all over here, I actually like that. I think it adds to the character. So, I mean, if you don't like it, then you can certainly get those off, but I mean, I like it. So, anyway, let me put this aside. Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and dump it out because I have many times done this, and here I have a brush that I use for that too. Okay, let's see, where did that go? Where did that brush go? It should be here. Here it is. Because what happens is if you have this next, oopsie, I just dumped some. That's not a good brush to use on that. It's not working good. Let me see. I just put too much. It's kind of, that's okay, but that's why we have our mat here too. And you can use like a piece of paper, a coffee filter, whatever works for you. But I buy these little mats at the dollar store. I think maybe 2 comes in there, and I use these all the time. They're great, and when they get all yucky, I throw them away because I didn't pay much for them. See, look, and they're very flexible and pliable, just kind of like a piece of paper would be, so they're easy to use. Okay, let me move that real quick. All right, so then we're going to take our tag. We're going to get our, well, I'm just making a mess over here. I got all kinds of stuff. Let me move that over. If things get too crazy, I won't, it'll drive me nuts. Okay. Then we're going to take our tag and go ahead now see these little pieces on the side that are, I like that. In fact, I've even taken it before and just sprinkled a few on there because I just think that adds to the character. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera there. And the fact that it's not on there even, to me, is also a good thing. I'm going for that. The one thing I think I love about doing kind of the grungy kind of look is that you embrace imperfection. So that works well for me. All right, so now you don't want to go to hit it too close on your detail, because what will happen then is I missed some right there. It'll just kind of blend it all together too much. So anyway, that is pretty much our tag. I mean, that's it. So if you can see that, you've got your shadow of the Eiffel Tower. So it looks like you're looking at the rose up close and then the Paris in the background. And the texture is kind of like a, you know, like a painting. Now I probably will take maybe, let's see, I think I'm going to take this my handy dandy makeup brush, and I'm probably going to put a little bit more vintage photo, and I want it to look a little older and grungier. And you can take that and put it all over what you've just embossed a little bit, just to make it look a little old. It should be perfectly dry by now. And the really cool thing is that the little cracks and stuff will pick up that. And to me, that's perfect. Okay, so then what I would do is you want to add your tag on there, and I'm going to pick up the pink that's in here, and then I want to put something across the bottom right here, so I'll probably put a ribbon or some lace, and then maybe some texture like that. Yeah, let's try that. Getting too many things around me again will drive me nuts. It's going to drive me nuts. Okay, so take that. Put that on. It's a little bit too much there, isn't it? Oop. This is why I end up with this stuff all over my fingers all the time. Okay, and I almost always let it hang off the side just a tiny bit. Okay. And this is gooey enough that I can probably go ahead and put that on. Tack it right on top. Okay, so that's the bottom. And the top, I think I'm going to put these two through. I don't think I need it that long, but we'll go ahead. We'll just cut it off later. Twist that a little bit. See if I can pop it through there with my, where did that go? You can never find things when you're looking for them. It'll be here somewhere. Well, I'll use this. I'm going to pop this through. Oops, I did too much. Oh, that's not coming all the way through there, is it? It's just a little piece. Okay. Ugh. There we go. There we are. All right. Probably cut that. Definitely cut that. And I never like my ends square. It drives me nuts. Okay. So to me, that's our tag. We're all done. So that's number 1. Okay, so now we're going to work on number 2. Let's get that out of the way. All right, so number 2 is going to be this one. And this tag has 3 die cuts on there. And like I said, you may not have the exact same ones, but you know, just look through what you have. And of course, you could also